You there, Scott? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Your volume's turned all the way up. Don't know why you're muted. Nope. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Back out, Scott. Shut yours down and come back in. How's everybody doing tonight? Glad everybody's here. I'm going to try to reboot Scott up, see if we can get him in here.
Your mic?
I hear him now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, big dog. I can hear you.
You know what's funny is I just had a message come over my screen saying you are muted when you're backstage.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have been backstage because we came up.
That's kind of what
we're live right now.
Software glitch. Yep. Sorry about that. I suppose everybody's getting used to that. I have no fear. My laptop is near.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're saying it should be fixed by the end of the week. Well, tomorrow's the end of the week.
That's it.
Hello,
everybody. Welcome again.
How's everybody doing? How are you doing, Hurt?
Man, I'm tickled shitless.
Yeah.
Start my new job Monday. Don't have to worry about my old job anymore. Get to turn in my truck tomorrow and be done.
Less stress. How about that?
A lot less stress.
Well, I text a bunch of people to let me know if they're getting notifications when we come on. You know, the 3 minute, 5 minute, 60 minute, and nobody's getting them yet. So it might be something we're doing, or who knows? But we'll dig into that.
We'll dig in
on Restream, and I do know that when I do videos on Rumble, within Rumble, I can give notifications and you could get them, but there's a glitch between Restream and Rumble right now, and it might just be operator error. Who knows? Anywho, we got text message going. All right. Sorry, wasn't anybody in the room to answer that question, though, huh?
What's that?
When I think you could see in the message board, I said, "Are we being seen and heard?" You see that in the message?
Yeah.
I was texting that when you were saying, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you."
Yeah. Nobody said nothing.
All right. Anyway, what you got today, man?
Huh?
What are you?
Just living the dream. I mean, what do you want me to be?
What are we going to talk about tonight, other than the obvious?
Let you get started in on it. I guess Letitia James.
Oh, I come loaded tonight, buddy.
Now, this was accused of her a while back.
Yep.
I remember hearing about all this, but I'm really surprised something never came out of it.
So she's the one that was pushing real big to get Trump in trouble for mortgage fraud, right? His loans were not, his buildings weren't not worth as much as what the loans, which always blew my mind, right? Like, here's a governmental official that obviously has an axe to grind, if you will, to Trump, saying
Correct.
saying that his buildings that he asked a bank for a loan against, right? That was the collateral.
Correct.
That he's lying on his paperwork to the government that his buildings aren't worth as much. So why is the bank lending him twice as much, right? That's what she was trying. That's the last federal charges that
And
that
that's
that
a
he
very stupid charge, and how she got away with a lot of this stuff. It's
she
up to the
got a,
bank.
go
It's
ahead.
up to the bank to
Correct.
decide what the property's worth.
So that was going to be my double arrow, right? My first arrow would have been, you can accuse anybody of anything, right? And
Correct.
that's, but once it finally hit the final destination, after all the people in that line to approve it and pass it on, the liberal people, because she accused, she filed, it got moved, it kept going down the line, and the left kept saying Trump's in trouble, Trump. Well, then it hit the judge, the court, and that's exactly what Trump's lawyers said was, you're accusing of this, but you're not a banker. If the bank looks into Trump and says he's asking for, let's just say $500 million. I don't know the dollar amount exactly, so I ain't gonna say it. We think they hire people to go out and say, what's those buildings and properties worth, right? That's what you get when you do capitalism and you got private sector people. So the bank gave Trump this big, magnificent loan. Why? Because his buildings and properties were worth way more, and he put it up as collateral. But this woman tried selling it to the American people and the idiots in Congress that would listen to her. She's smarter than the real estate agents, the bankers, and everybody else's. And she's like, no, because somebody whispered in her ear and told her you could get him on these charges. But they forgot to whisper that she's going to have to prove it. And what they find out, whatever dollar amount he was asking for, his properties were worth 3 times that. Right. And that's to start the conversation. Now, unbeknownst to her, she assumed that Trump wasn't going to be president, blah, blah, blah. Now, she was indicted this morning on the very same thing on a very small scale, but she broke a bunch of rules, and she broke state law and she broke federal law, and she was indicted this morning.
Let's see here.
Goose, goose, guinea, guinea.
Charged with 1 count of bank fraud and 1 count of false statements to a financial institution.
Yes. Backed by the FDIC, making it a federal crime.
Now, what was the false statement? I'm pulling at strings here, trying to remember all this. Was it saying it was her primary residence and it wasn't?
Correct. Mortgage fraud, because everybody in this country, but via the federal, the IRS, if you have a mortgage on your primary home, I don't care if you own 10 rentals, whatever, you can get exemptions, homestead exemptions on one home, right?
Correct.
Ever home, if you own 5 homes, one of them has to be home base. For those of you that don't understand what I'm trying to say, you select which one you're going to be home base, right? Where you're going to pay your state taxes, where you reside. And she falsified her documents to get better mortgage rates and to be a congresswoman, right? So you can't just say, I'm going to run for Congress in Massachusetts if you live in Colorado. But if you buy a piece of property, a home in Massachusetts, and fraudulently sign these documents saying, well, I'm from Massachusetts, But what you forgot was there's actual law in place, and your signature, you were from another state. That's what's going on here. And it's petty, it's stupid, but that's what she tried getting on Trump. The value of his properties he defrauded. What she's doing is just as guilty on a much smaller level, but shame on her. She pushed. Now they're pushing back, and they can prove it. They indicted her this morning because they have proof. She lied. There's no coming back from this. The fact is she did lie. Now I'm not saying she's going to go to jail or they're going to convict her, but they're going to find her guilty, right? They have to, because the proof is out there. She don't live in the house that she said that she did, and that's fact. So the only reason I wanted to start with that was because I find it comical that she spent 5 to 6 months of her life being paid and being pushed by that side of the lane or line. Do whatever you can to get Trump convicted of something, right? And then what she was trying to do to him actually is being done to her. She's indicted this morning, and she's not happy about it. And the left is spinning, and because of this coming up this morning, so there were people that knew this was coming the last 5-6 days. We can quickly move into the biggest story that got covered up and nobody was talking about until one of the greatest investigative reporters, Luke Rossick, I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if I am or not. Why was this one on the news, and why is it so big? Why are they talking about it? Because it's minuscule. She'll probably just get slapped on the wrist, and it's not that big of a deal. But what the news hasn't been telling you, other than a few right newses, October 5th, the big red mass, right? Every year at this particular Catholic church, and I don't have the name of it, I don't think. I'm looking at my notes right now. It's in D.C., Congress, Senate. People in D.C., the higher-ups go there. The Supreme Court religiously visits this Catholic church. On October 5th was their big red mass they do every year. And this gentleman, his last name is Jerry, Geri. So those of you that are following, you can Google this stuff. Was caught on the steps of this church, and he had a manifesto with him, and he handed a note to a cop saying, "I have explosives." Now, I knew about this the other night, and I think I told Hurt, but maybe I didn't. But Hurt knows. I'm gonna wait until I got more facts, right? Type stuff. This guy had explosives on him, and I'm talking dozens. The cops didn't know what kind at first when he handed him a piece of paper, because they were sent there to throw him off the property, because he was told to stay off that property twice already. The manifesto read as such: I hate Catholics, I hate Jews, I hate America, I hate Donald Trump, yada, yada, yada. And if anybody gets close to me, people are going to die. I'm going to blow people up. I have explosives. That was October 5th. So 3-4 days ago. And the news didn't talk about it. Why? I don't know. But to me, if the FBI and our leaders now, and God bless them for doing it, knew something like this was happening, they didn't feel good about this guy. He's been kicked off a couple of times. Supreme Court justices, Congress people, senators, hell, even the vice president and president have been there. Clinton went there a few times. I mean, it's the biggest Catholic church in town. They seen this coming, they headed it off, and they stopped it. 2 years ago, I don't think it would have happened, because, again, this guy, this bomber, is a Trump hater and a lefty and a nut. But let's just say it was going to happen 2 years ago, and he decided to do it. The bombs would have went off, right? But thank God we got people in power that are following this stuff and doing their actual jobs and prevented it from happening. But this young man wanted to blow people up in the church, and he was there for the biggest reason was he knew that the Supreme Court justices frequent that church. I don't know how many justices. I don't know how many times frequent means. So before people start messaging or saying, this or that, I'm not saying 2 justices. I'm not saying all of them, and I'm not saying once a week. I'm just repeating what Luke said.
I got an article right here. It says a man was arrested and charged with having a Molotov cocktail outside a Washington, D.C. Catholic church on Sunday ahead of a high-profile mass meant to mark the start of the Supreme Court term.
Correct.
Metropolitan Police said 41-year-old Louis Jerry of
They pronounce it Gary.
of Vineland, New Jersey, was arrested at the steps of the Cathedral of St. Matthew's the Apostle on Rhode Island Avenue, Northwest, after setting up a tent and refusing to leave. Officers determined that Jerry had previously been barred from the cathedral, although they didn't elaborate on a reason. Police officers observed multiple suspicious items, including vials of liquid and possible fireworks inside Jerry's tent. Members of the Metropolitan Police Department's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team and the Arson Task Force responded to the church.
Let me ask you, look at the date on that article.
Well, this is by CBS.
CBS
News said October 5th.
Okay.
At 5:28 p.m.
That's all that the national news, they all regurgitate. We've all seen those videos where all the way across the country, syndicates and everybody from CBS, ABC, they regurgitated that. That's all they said. And nobody paid attention. Why? Because they put in words like fireworks, vials of liquid. As you dig into this, and I have not seen, and I'm going to, me, tonight I'm going to dig into this. And ABC and NBC hasn't said any of this stuff. But again, Luke Rosick, I'm going to have to look, but he's an investigative specialist and reporter, and that's what he does. Today, as of, I think it was 10 o'clock, it could have been Mountain Time because I think he was in Colorado. He spilled all this stuff. He did a deep dive on this guy. And he said he was on the Casey Hendrickson show. I heard Glenn Beck talk about it a little bit. So I started writing these notes down as I was working because I couldn't wait to do it tonight because I want us to be one of the first people to really talk about it. This guy is troubled. He's been told to leave that property. The cops wouldn't tell you why, right? That's what CBS said. Because he was scaring the shit out of people attending church. He was saying nasty things. He was saying crazy things. What are you doing here? They welcomed him the first time he showed up to come in and get some food, use the facilities. He was acting strange, and it kept going and going and going. He's been asked 3 or 4 times to leave the church. He keeps popping up. And in his manifesto, which nobody's going to talk about, but hopefully they hear first, right, Hurt?
Right.
I know you're counting on it because this is new to you. And it was new to me until about 9:30, 10 o'clock this morning. His manifesto reads, hate Jews, hate Catholics, hate Trump, hate this, and he was going to blow people up. And those little vials of fluid and those few fireworks and the unknown reasons why he's been asked to leave before. You see how dry and stupid that sounds on Sunday? That's what CBS said, right? Once all this news hits, I guarantee those of you that are maybe shaky about believing me right now, I'm telling you, the manifesto is a manifesto. He handed it to the cops. He had multiple explosive devices, and I'm not talking fireworks. This was to shut us up, and they didn't want to talk about it. Why? Because nobody knows what party this guy's a part of. And that's what pisses me off, Hurt. This was news Sunday. The news should have said crazy guy, should have said all the facts. But because they have to, and I'm saying both sides, anytime it happens, they want to pin it on the left or the right, or what I'm saying? You and I and our listeners and every citizen in this country should not care that the guy that is trying to kill Supreme Court justices, senators, and congressmen at a local church in D.C., we shouldn't care what party he is. Right?
You're right.
That's a big effing problem with me, mainly because they do want a division. They want it to be 50-50 right down all.
As long as we're 50-50, they're in control. They're in control.
But wouldn't you and I'm going to go into something else here in a little bit, but wouldn't you think if Supreme Court justices and Congress and senators' lives were at risk?
No, you wouldn't think, because they're already at risk.
Well, but
and did anybody go do serious time? No. They were protesting and threatening right in front of their houses.
Right.
And so, nothing happened.
Going back to
what they're just speaking their free speech. No, they're in front of a Supreme Court justice's house. Correct. No.
Of course, yeah. And look at the softball Republicans just out there having a couple of beers, having fun because they're going to take the Democrats on, and some radical Republican hating some bitch shots fired. The left media, if y'all want to prove me wrong, you're going to have to do two things. One is look back in the last 10, 20, 30 years. So get back to me in a month, because I've done this, and Hurt knows I've done this. I can tell you how CBS and NBC and all those shows and channels taught forever. And you can find that stuff out too. But they're just like one of the other shows we did. This is nothing new. This is what they do. It's not news because they don't want to report it. They don't want you knowing that Republican hater, liberal shooter, did this. They just slightly say, "Oh, our hearts and prayers are with the congressman." It's all bullshit. But this one, every news media knew it, and I'm telling you again, Luke Rosick is saying that all major news channels had this information on Sunday, and all liberal national news syndicates repeated the same garbage that you just told. And I'm glad you read that. You had no idea I was bringing this up, but you read it exactly like national left media said it on Sunday and never talked about it Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
No.
But this morning, the truth came out. Now, everybody listening, I'm telling you, tomorrow and over the weekend, you'll watch the left say, well, now there's more facts out there. No, there ain't no new facts. All of this information was at hand Sunday. The guy literally handed the cops his manifesto.
If we even see the manifesto.
You won't.
Did we ever see the manifesto from the trans that shot up the school?
No.
Never seen that, did we?
Because he probably didn't write one.
It was that female, though. Wasn't the female thinking he was a guy?
I'm
confused. Or was a guy thinking he was a girl?
I'm confused anymore. I could tell you what.
It doesn't matter. But we never got that manifesto. Right. You only get what they want, and this is another thing, people. Scott touched base on this. I challenge you. When news comes out on something spectacular that they want to attack somebody on, flick ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, PBS. Flick through every channel.
Same.
Everything's going to be regurgitated the same. It's like they all get into this pool, and this is how we got to say this.
That should scare the shit out of people, and here's why. This is a big country, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of news affiliates and syndicates, right? And magically, they all say the same thing. All the way across the country within an hour. In their own little communities, South Bend, where I'm close to, all these little city news syndicates repeated the same garbage to a T.
Yes.
Since JFK was assassinated, that's what they've been doing. There's no effing way possible I got anything in common with someone from Salem, Oregon, so quickly that we're going to say the same damn thing unless we were told right in our ears, right?
Yeah, it is. It's funny. Just like when I got home earlier today, I was watching the U.S. House of Representatives, and Mike Johnson was on the C-SPAN or whatever you want to call it. And
right.
He was taking phone calls in from people. And I'm not trying to get off the subject, but some Democrat from Colorado called in. You're just lying. You're just lying. And then Mike Johnson, I wish I would have had a pen and paper. He said page 55,
57,
page 57, section, whatever, and just black.
34.2.1.
He said, look at that and then come back and tell me I'm wrong.
Yep.
Then come back and call me a liar. It's just like, wow, you know.
But even then, they don't like facts.
They'll spin it.
What's the left do to you and me on TikTok? They'll say, well, why don't you show it right now? Well, because I'm a little bit older. I don't understand technology. I can tell you page 57, article this, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to show that to your audience because I don't think you're going to show it anyway. But what I'm saying is here's where I'm telling you, you could go look it up yourself. And your response is always, well, if you can't show it to me right this second, well, you just said a whole bunch. All these TikTokers do it. The ones that bait us and then kick us off. They bait you and say, well, this, and this, and this. And guys like you and I get on there and they let us on their show. And we say, where's your proof? Well, go look it up your effing self. I'm like, you didn't even, at least here on this show, most of the time, Scott's at least going to give you 98% fact. There's going to be times I'm passionate and I jump on here too quick and say something. You guys will catch me, and David knows that. But what I'm bringing, I know David brings, is, again, this was Sunday stuff, and I waited till Thursday to talk about it. Right? I could have jumped on there Sunday going, oh, look, yeah. But that wasn't news. Fireworks and some vials of fluid. Turns out, and again, if you don't believe me, pay attention because it will hit the news or start digging. It wasn't fireworks and.
Well, read the article, okay? Now let's break this article down. First, they said he had Molotov cocktails.
And
okay, that's a fireball.
Correct.
Okay, that's a fire. You light it and throw it. It spreads. Okay.
Out though, I'm spoiler. He didn't have any Molotovs.
Well, I'm just saying. But then he had some vials of liquid and some fireworks. Why, if that's all he had, why would you call the bomb squad out? And why would you call the arsons out if it was only fireworks and liquids in a jar?
They almost on Sunday night convinced that I'm going to report this because you should hear about it, but it's just fireworks. But what I really wanted to say the F-bomb right there, where they really screwed up was they had no idea that Luke was on the case, and you guys have to look him up. It's Luke, Rosisk, Rosick. Mm-hmm. He's been around a long time, and he only, like you and I, speaks once he has enough information, right? And I'm telling you, these idiots downplayed this, but they knew this. This is the fact that nobody's paying attention to, where I picked up on because Luke made me think about it. On the very first report that the CBS or whoever did, they didn't say he handed the police a manifesto, right? That little detail right there. Somebody had a manifesto and all they came prepared with was fireworks and some vials of this and maybe a Molotov cocktail. For those of you that don't understand Molotov cocktails, you can't just sit with a lit Molotov cocktail for an hour debating with the cops until you throw it. Once you light that thing, it's active. It's gonna blow up. However, he handed them a manifesto that said, "I hate Jews, I hate Catholics, and I hate this administration." And I do know the Supreme Court justices and DC officials frequent this church. Why didn't they give that detail? Because they knew it was a bigger story, but they're fighting all these other negative stories at the same time. They didn't want to add another one, so they thought, well, we'll admit at least he was semi-dangerous, when they damn well knew he was there to kill Supreme Court justices, and they didn't tell you that.
No. No,
I
They're not going to tell you anything. I mean, come on. I mean, I've seen very few of them put up an argument with a Democrat on a shutdown. Now, there have been a few that asked them, well, ain't this, and this, and they lie straight through the teeth about it. But you're not going to get the truth from the media.
I'll say this. I don't like CNN. Everybody watching me that knows me but Hurt knows I hate CNN. But what they've done where they're capturing me every night for at least 30 minutes is they put on Scott Peterson. I think Scott Peterson is his Peterson. He's more conservative than he is liberal, and he's calling these people out on CNN, and he's paid by CNN. He's an employee of.
Yes, he rips them a new one. He tries to make it make sense.
Yeah, and he might be a paid actor. I don't know. He's good at what he does. But at least got me saying, "Well, wait a minute." He just said exactly what I would say if I had a chance to be on a microphone in front of them ignorant sons of, So I'm paying attention more to CNN lately. That doesn't mean I'm in love with them or whatever, but I'm not an MSNBC guy, CBS or NBC guy, because they're still, at least CNN's adjusting. They're trying to.
Who was it last night? Was it CBS or ABC? Dude, I about threw a brick through the TV.
It's probably CBS.
They were talking about Epstein.
Oh, boy.
Okay? But they're just talking about Epstein. Nothing else. Just Epstein. Guess what they showed at the end of the clip?
Hard telling.
All right, now you're just talking about Epstein, nothing else, right?
They didn't show his dead body.
They showed a picture of Epstein, his girlfriend, Donald Trump, and Melania standing together.
Of course they
What
did.
what does that have to do with what you guys were just talking about? See, you all people don't see this.
1995 or 4.
It's like, boom, they got to throw that in. It had nothing to do with it, but they're going to throw it in.
Yep.
Just so you say, oh, yep. Trump was in on this.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you, idiot, something, because this makes me hot. If Trump had anything to do with Epstein Island or any of that kind of crap,
say it.
Do you not think the Obama administration, the Biden administration wouldn't have took his ass down? They tried to take him down and everything else.
Yep.
Why wouldn't they take him down? That was an easy takedown.
There's photos of Donald Trump with Epstein on the island, or at least with Epstein, and then correlated with pictures of Trump having sex with minors. I'm all in and hang his ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what Hurt just said is exactly what him and I've been talking about for months at night on the phone. So all these bots, I call them bots. Most of them are bots anymore. But if a liberal gets in your face or a text message or multimedia message group, and well, that's a really good point. But what about the Epstein file? What Hurt just told you is the absolute truth. Your response to anybody that says, well, that's a good point, but what about the rest of the Epstein files? Had there been anything worth a shit to make Trump look bad, we'd already know it. We would have known it 18 months ago. Period.
Before that.
Yeah. Because they feared the man so much, and they knew he was going to run again, and it scared the shit out of him. So the newest answer is anytime during one of these attacks on churches, schools, whatever, liberals in Portland, which is a topic that if I get into tonight, I'm going to go crazy. Chicago, because it's 80 miles away from me. All these things, and then put in there the Middle East. The majority, and I'm saying I know of 13, I've heard 17 countries, leaders are telling the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, give it to Trump. Give it to Trump because of what's going on. But you add all this up, and it blows my mind that you and me or any constitutionalist, I don't care about Republicans, but makes a point about what this administration, Cash, or any of them are doing and being successful. What's their first reply? What about the Epstein files? What about him?
And what did I tell you about the Epstein files? Epstein files has anybody who has ever had contact with Epstein. That could be the baker, that could be the dry cleaner, that could be the delivery man.
Could be you or me.
The hate that they have for Epstein automatically makes anybody associated with them
Correct.
a predator.
Correct.
That's not true. That is not true.
Correct.
So if you release that list of all these people, how many people would you put out of business for nothing?
Right.
A bunch. A bunch.
That shook his hand and was
Yep.
28 years ago.
Yep.
Could you imagine it? So this is to the viewers. This is something else you could tell people that just want to go back to that. I understand we all want the truth. I think we've got a lot of the truth. There's a lot of it they're not going to give to us because the victims have a right to be unknown, right? Privacy. But if you shake my hand tomorrow, Hurt, and then 2 Christmases from now, I go crazy and walk into Macy's and just shoot a bunch of people, and somebody brings that David's just as crazy as Scott. Look, here's a picture of him shaking. That's not what that means. That's not what it means at all.
No.
There's a lot of good liberals, conservatives, middle of the road people that have been in pictures with Epstein that I 100% believe them when they say, well, that was at a dinner in New York or in Hollywood, but I've never been to his island. They're probably telling you the truth. So if you're going to say Trump is guilty because he's in a picture, then look to your left and your right and call all your friends out and be like, well, you're in an Epstein picture, so you're guilty like Trump. No, he wouldn't do that. See, that's the hypocrisy.
It is. It's bad. And it's not going to stop. And until people get smarter, and I'm talking both sides, not talking just left, not talking just right, I'm talking both sides. If we don't smarten the hell up and come together and defeat DC, we lost. We're going to stay lost.
Correct.
Yeah, we're going to stay lost.
So I'm on a job site this week and probably next week, and me and the head contractor, which happens to be the homeowner, we got into this talk, and he's like, Scott, I've seen some of your stuff, and good for you, blah blah blah. He goes, but do you really believe in what you speak about? And I'm like, absolutely. And he goes, so you do understand when Glenn Beck, because one of his shows the other night was awesome. Glenn Beck said, not fear mongering. He goes, but you're close to civil war when it's divided closely to half, right? That's too big, because if you have 80-90% support one way or the other, the country's okay. But when you got close to half the country convinced that the other side is evil, that's when you're closest to civil war. And you look at it, and I'm spinning this into the Chicago story and Portland, but Chicago mainly, because I have no facts on Portland yet. But you have people in Chicago by the thousands. I call them Black Americans. I don't call them African American. Women, men saying, please send the troops. Please send the troops. We've all seen the videos on TikTok and YouTube where the one woman was in there just screaming at the mayor, you think you can get away with it? We're going to turn this city red. So, but what's the TV show you? ICE agents being, they need to be thrown out of here. The mayor of Chicago saying, we're not going to allow you to come, which is funny because if I'm Trump, I'm just sending the troops anyway, because what are you going to do? But the majority of the people in Chicago are afraid to go to the grocery store, afraid to walk out in the street. And you got a mayor saying, I live on the 40th floor of a tower, probably Trump Tower, overlooking Lake Michigan, which I'm familiar with. And he has security staff, right? And he's telling the whole country and the whole world, we don't need the federal government. We don't need National Guard. When literally you got police officers and citizens of the surrounding area by the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands saying, bring them.
Well, look at Pricky Pritzker. Pritzner? Is it Pritzner, the governor?
Yeah.
Trump has dementia.
What's that?
He's saying Trump has dementia. He don't know what he's talking about. Well, Trump, I hope he gets Nobel Peace Prize tomorrow.
He won't.
He should.
He'll get nominated.
He should.
You got the whole Middle East other than Iran.
Yeah.
All countries in the Middle East where we've been fighting and bombing. You got people going, oh my God, the hot release. And we're getting along with, and Qatar's getting along with Saudi Arabia and Iraq.
And they're in phase 1 of the peace deal.
What this should, Glenn Beck said it this morning, and this is asked you to do a show because I'm not trying to steal Glenn's thunder, but I wanted to be one of the first groups of people, casters, that say today is a day that the whole world should be like, hey, this is positive news. This is a day of almost celebration. Like, you got hostages coming back. You had liberals saying Trump ain't gonna get no peace deal done. You have Hamas that hates you and me and everybody that's listening or watching this, signing a deal, letting hostages go, and thinking, well, maybe Gaza Strip could be a destination for holiday seekers and vacationers someday, and maybe he convinced them, instead of being angry all the time and riding camels and living in caves, make some money, right?
Well, I think my personal opinion, Hamas got let off easy.
Too easy.
But I guess that's what it takes for the killing to stop. Which I don't think all the killing is going to stop. I think they'll take it elsewhere. But I really do believe this is a major step into having peace. Look at Iran back in the years. How many Americans used to go to Iran on vacation?
It was the women went to school, they drove, they didn't have to wear their hijab or whatever. In the 70s and 80s, Iran was revered as one of the top 10 destinations.
Yes, sir.
And
what
then
happened?
Ayatollah. Prove me wrong, right?
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. That's all I got to say. Make it make sense. I guess
hatred.
The hatred is asinine. The hatred in this world is asinine.
So for those of you that are religious and understand this, the book of Genesis, what is the most boring first chapter ever? Begat, right? I begat my children, those children begat. The Ayatollah, I don't know how. That's one of my biggest goals, is to dig into this and find out how they were able to gain power in Iran. So again, Iran was one of the top destinations for travel, just a beautiful place. And this group of people, sect of people, men, not women, men, gangsters, took over this whole beautiful country, and they started begatting since the 70s. Hate. Then they raised 5 or 6 sons. Hate. If they had daughters, those daughters probably understand, I better keep this on. I can't go to school. I can't drive. I can't tell my daddy I learned 5 + 5 is 10 because mom's going to get her head chopped off. What the F happened? Well, they got too close to 50-50. Half the country wanted to be old school Muslim. Half the country liked going to school and having rights. And again, I'm back to the 50. When you get close to 50-50, that's when civil war and Ayatollah came in and took power. And that's where we're at today. There's cities in this country that are 100% hateful towards Americans, hate this country, are ran by Muslims, terrorists, I call them. Well, I don't care what you call them. I like Muslims. I don't like Muslim terrorists. Don't take the Quran so literally and want to kill every white infidel or Christian or Jew. But now that we're 50-50, pay attention to Iran in 1972.
It's sad.
It's scary. It's downright scary.
New York's going to be scary. Now we topics again, but you bring stuff up and it's all in slow motion. If you look, don't erase history, people, because history will repeat itself if you forget about it. And look what's happening now.
Harmy and David, I call him Hurt again. Army and David and I, we're old. Look, I'm the youngest old guy, but I'm 45. David's in his mid 50s. Army's in his late 60s. Army's going to be our mod. He's already done it a little bit. We talk when we play Call of Duty, right? We're gamers, and we talk about this sort of thing. And I never saw this coming. These two could not have seen this coming, but it's happened so fast since 9/11. Our country has went from the day that the towers came down, everybody was neighbors and friends and loved each other and was crying and flew the American flag, to now in New York City, where it happened, the people are about to they have already nominated him from the Democratic Party, about to elect, because they're going along with it, a guy that is known to be communist and known to be Muslim, and he hates this effing country. And he's about to, and if that's the sign of the devil for me. For me personally, I've thought about this. Everybody always asks me, the rapture, Revelation, the beast. Well, in this country, with all the patriotism, every time a war happens, or you're telling me you're about to elect somebody in the very city that hell was released on American people, citizens, the worst terrorist act ever in this country, just 24 or 5 years later are willing to come on in and take control. Think about that.
Because the people there now weren't born yet, and they don't know. They don't remember. They're not taught history.
So I said it today to this fellow contractor. I said pretty much what you said. I said, if you're 32, 34 or younger, you were either not born or you were too young to experience the emotional. Ugh. Now, David and I weren't New Yorkers. We weren't there, but like JFK was killed, it's still something for all of us. And most of you or all of you are going to say, I understand what Scott's saying. When those towers came down and we were attacked, we
that
all
day
felt
I was driving the
right?
18-wheeler down the highway with my head on a swivel. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I knew we were under attack.
I didn't either.
But I didn't know who was next.
I was left foreman. My dad ran the facility. Would tell everybody to go home, and most of our employees were actually Mexicans, but they were here on working visas and whatnot, and they didn't understand what was going on. They didn't understand when they came into my office or my dad's office and watched those towers repeatedly, on video going down. They still didn't understand, and that's all the way back then is when I knew that culture is everything. So what did the news media, what did the left do? George Soros is the powers that be. You all can call me whatever you want. But this is what happened. If they said today how exactly JFK was assassinated, only people our age and older are going to care. It's going to mean the younger is going to be
what does it matter to us now?
Exactly 9/11. So the left learned that we can perpetuate anything we want onto these youngsters, colleges, high school, take prayer out of schools, take the Bible out of schools, but put the book of my two dads and sodomy and transgender shit, right? So when 9/11 happened, I thought that was the scariest, craziest. And then afterwards, weeks later, walking down the streets, doing my job, I travel 50, 60 miles from my house. So I'm in cities, country. Everybody loved everybody. American flags were flying, ribbons were everywhere. And very quickly, now the youngins will say, well, it's been 20 some years. In my lifetime, that's a blink of an eye. In the matter of time in general, the Earth's 2 million years old. That was a blink of an eye. But in a blink of an eye, the left, controlling the media like Hitler did, has convinced these youngins 9/11 isn't that important. In my lifetime, it's the most important thing ever. In Harmy's lifetime, it's probably number 2 next to JFK being assassinated. And we're not, we don't care. We don't care.
Oh, you see that all the time. You can bring, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
Yeah. But getting road rage shit or parking lot wars, I care about that, but I don't care about real stuff. The people when they talk ignorance, I just want to jump through, and I know you do too, especially the ones that canvas. Come on, seriously. Oh, I care more about parking lot wars or road rage than I do JFK. Like, you're a effing moron. Anyway, I'm down to 20% now, and I do not want to lose you. So we got about 15 more minutes. The we went over Letitia. We went over Jerry. Oh, Chicago. I hope you're all sitting down, because if you don't know about this, as soon as you start Googling it, you're going to throw up. So ICE agents were surrounded in Chicago, and they called for backup. And dispatch said, well, we got officers in the area, blah, blah, blah. But 6 minutes went by, and they didn't get any backup. So the head ICE agent called in again and asked, and they got and I want to make sure everybody understands this. The news didn't do it justice today. They said the chief of police said this. It was the chief of dispatch, right? Big cities have 17 chiefs, and then they got police commissioner, right? The chief of dispatch got on the comms. So anybody that was on duty or off duty and had their radios on, do not respond to this. Think about that. Federal agents asked the city police of Chicago for help, and dispatch argued with this chief of dispatch saying, but they're asking for help, and we got officers in the area. And he, again, I'm telling you, he said, shh, nobody respond. Disregard this message. He is going to get arrested within the next 48 hours, is my guess.
He needs to get arrested. The governor needs to get arrested. All of them need to get arrested. Look, people.
Federal agents.
I don't care if what y'all's opinion about it. Law is law. ICE is doing according to law.
Correct.
When was ICE? That's a good question to ask Google. When was ICE put into effect?
I think it was early 80s, but I'm not sure. Could have been late 70s.
I think it's later than that.
90s, maybe?
No.
I'm still going to say early 80s.
March 2003.
What?
Yes. Immigration Customs Enforcement was created in 2003 pursuant to the Homeland Security Act of 2002.
Rough. Oh, think about that. Right after 9/11, 2001.
Yeah. So
the government grew because they said, oh, the border control can't do it, FBI can't do it, CIA. So we're just going to make another federal government agency.
So we got ICE then. We have federal laws in the books, people. Nobody's doing this just to be hateful. We are a country of laws, and we are actually following the laws. If you come in on a visa, a work visa, whatever it is, if you come across legally, you are good with me. I do not have a problem with you. If you skip through that border, don't go through the port entry, you bust through the middle, I got a problem because you're hiding something.
So I was about to say
you're hiding something, okay?
If they act like that, it's because
there's a reason behind it, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm so sick of all these people defending these people. Like I said, if you have a work visa, if you're over here legally, I don't care.
Right.
And don't tell me they're seeking asylum. Because by law, if you read the asylum laws, you cannot skip 20 countries to get to the United States to seek asylum. You got to go to the next safest country that you are joined to seek asylum. Adjacent to. Yep.
We're not adjacent to a Central America.
No.
We're not.
So wake up, people.
Yeah.
Wake up. I mean, you can be mad all you want, but right's right, wrong is wrong, black is black, white's white. It's black and white. It's federal freaking law. And the problem is, it's been ignored for so long. Now it's putting us in a bind. So now you got somebody with balls who's stepping up and enforcing this. And that's what, how many million Americans voted for Trump? Voted for? It was a lot. So,
Precedent.
yes. So that's what we're doing. We're just trying to clean it up. We're
Well,
giving you a free ride out. If you think about it, we're giving them a free ride out if they voluntarily leave, and they can start the paperwork, come right back in.
well, hell, some of our senators will even sit down and drink a margarita with you,
Yeah,
and go lie his ass off on the Senate floor.
yeah. But I mean, so let's get real with it. Let's get this problem under control. Read the shutdown. Read what the Democrats want. And if you still can come back and argue with me, then you didn't read it.
Correct.
You didn't read it. You're doing talking points.
This is not Hurt and I saying, come on here, we'll kick you up. No, if you got a valid point, I know the man and he knows me. I'll be the stubborn one, but if you can get through to Hurt, he's probably going to ask me to calm down. Here's the biggest problem is you can't. And the left knows it. You look at, there's nobody that would say, especially if you had kids. Let's just imagine that everybody on the planet had children, and you and I challenged people to say, put your children's life at risk and stand in front of us and repeat what you just said. They won't do it. That's the problem.
Nope.
They're lying. They're every time Trump, and again, every time in your personal life, every time you do well, I guarantee the devil's working overtime, right? So in your normal life as a civilian of this country, if you're supporting Trump, David and I might get the same thing that I got when I was with Patriot Hour. We might be sought out. They might seek us out if we get too big, get too many followers, whatever. I'm okay with that. But there was a time and place where, and this is why Hurt came down and met me in Tulsa under General Flynn and everybody, met his secret crush. If you get too big and push too far and keep spreading the right message, what's the evil side usually do? Try to shut you up.
Yep.
And they did that. And then Trump got with Flynn, Clay Clark, the list goes on. And then I found myself, I was humble. Hurt. I kept telling her, I can't believe I'm even being invited. Mike and I were invited. And there were people down there saying, you guys were on the first ones. Well, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. But we were a part of the group that, hey, you're promoting American ideals. We're going to just unplug you and shut you off and silence you.
Can I say one thing?
Can't do that anymore easily.
I got something you might not have heard of today. I heard it. How much power you got left in your phone?
I got 50 and $100 that says I know what you're about to say.
California, from November to like January, March, something like that, requiring masks again in all medical facilities. COVID's over. COVID's over. But you're still going to follow that law. Come on now.
The left will.
You cannot get treated in a hospital in California without a mask on.
So that's what the left's doing.
They're doing it from like November to January or March, whenever the flu season is. They're give me a break.
You said that wrong. You said flu season?
That's what they're saying it's for.
Flu season used to be a thing. Now it's just COVID season.
Correct. But what I'm trying to say is, you dummies are going to go along with this. And what's on the bottom of that little thing? Make sure you get your COVID vaxxed. I'm not vaxxed. I never wore a mask. Kiss my ass. I'm
Get get
still here.
get
Ain't
blood clots in your lungs, y'all.
yeah.
Go into ICU and be under a ventilator, and you're gonna die. Why? Because of what we put in your body, and that's
Yeah,
what it's
the medicines they put in you, they
kill
got
you.
to keep you off of that. It starts with an R. I just went blank.
Tananan.
You got they got to take you off that within 4 or 5 days because your kidneys start shutting down.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Then they
by the way,
do something else.
what hospice uses. You know, remember Jack Kevorkian, the doctor that was
Yeah.
put ease people's pain, right? He helped you do suicide. And when I was a kid, I heard that. I'm like, man, what an evil guy. But when you look into it, all he was doing was going. When my dad died of cancer. That's what hospice is doing now. They come in and they just inject so much shit in your body, it just shuts down. But that's what they were hoping. I'm telling you, there's a group of people that perpetuated COVID on us that are pissed that COVID didn't kill more people. They got it wrong. Did. But the problem is they know how many people took shots. They know who took shots. So if they're creating something else that can interject and comply with the previous shots, and now if we add this to your system, it'll kill you. They might be onto that.
Oh, get the COVID shot. You can't
No,
catch it no more. Bullshit. They
no.
proved that wrong.
I eat dirt. I tell my kids, eat dirt, play in the dirt.
Oh yeah. The only people I don't mind, and I will never say anything to, is the older generation. You know, the 70s and 80s, they're that old. They got bad immune systems and stuff like that. They won't wear a mask, wear a mask. I'm okay with that. But you come tell me I got to wear a mask? No, 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 no. I wouldn't go into businesses that maybe make them wear a mask. I wouldn't do it. Just like, nope, ain't going in there. You ain't getting my business.
You know me, I own my own little heating and cooling business, and I've lost jobs where customers have said, "Thanks for showing up to quote it, but can you wear a mask when you do installation?" I thought, I just sat here and talked to you for an hour in your kitchen with no mask, but you want me and my employees, if I'm there, or whatever, when we're here to do the work, got to wear masks. That don't make any sense.
No.
Stand by your principles, and I'm okay with that. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid. I'm from the government, help you take this shot, etc., etc. But if I knock on your door with no mask and you let me in and we talk for an hour at your kitchen table, and your next comment is, "All right, if we hire you, will you agree to wear a mask?" My answer, obviously, and Hurt knows this, no. I'm not going to wear masks. I don't believe it. But why the hell did you let me in your house in the first place? Because you don't know. You're hoping I'm going to give you a deal, which means you're willing to overlook the perpetual risk of getting COVID because you might save $5,000 going with me. Then you find out you're going to save $5,000 with going with me, but I won't submit to your demands of masks. No, my rights do not stop where your feelings start.
Mm-hmm.
Fuchsia said that right after he said, "He who goes to bed with itchy butt gets stinky finger."
The mask mandate will run from November 1st until March 31st of 2026, and the order states that that they can expand the type of facilities. So it's the hospital right now, but the interim health officer can issue this whenever she wants to.
Can rename the hospital to an emergency response to COVID center.
Well, no, she can. It starts at the medicals, but she can go outside of that
Oh,
to regular businesses.
she can.
Yes.
Is she a she?
I ain't seen a picture of her, but it, I don't know.
I mean, remember our last health.
Well, her first name's Karen, so that should.
Hold on. Let's do it. Let's do it together.
Okay, Karen. Oh, here we go.
Now look, people. I know that Hurt was trying to show off to my wife the other night. So I'm not going to blindside him, but there's going to come a time here shortly that while we're talking, Hurt's going to be able to, or I'm going to be able to bring up articles and whatnot. But if I had control of the studio right now, or at least 30 seconds ago, I would have brought up our health secretary prior to Kennedy, and you would have seen video of as a woman in DC on the pulpit, I call it, or podium. I am your new health, and I'm thinking, and David and I said this when Biden nominated him anyway. So the number one individual, not man or woman, the number one individual under Biden in charge of the health department was a mentally deranged individual. Because why? He was an obese man that claimed to be a woman, could tell everybody in this country how to be healthy. Well, number one, I didn't care that he was transgender. I mean, that's a big point. That is number two. But the fact that you're the health secretary and you're 100 and some pounds overweight, and then you add this mental illness that you literally have testicles and a penis, but then you got breast implants and you wore a dress and let your hair grow long. So now you're a woman and you're telling me that you're an expert on health. And now here you got the left going, Kennedy don't know anything about health. Well, he knows a lot more than this last guy did.
You ain't lying on that one.
That was the easiest argument with liberals in my lifetime. The guy in charge of health, or the person, I'm sorry, person in charge of health.
But you know, I don't want to argue with liberals no more. I want to come together and let's meet in the middle.
80%.
I'm tired of arguing.
80%, buddy.
And every time we argue, we lose.
Yep.
We lose. I'm sorry.
Because it's doubt. And like biblical sense, when you doubt yourself or you're being negative, the devil gets a little bit more foreground on you. He gets a little bit more leverage.
Oh, I did shave too. I was walrus looking.
I see that.
Yeah, I had to clean up a little bit. At least I was getting on my ass about it.
I'm glad we got one of them laughs in, because I was always hoping that every show we'd either.
We'll get some. Well, we ain't started yet. We'll get some laughs in. Once TikTok let us go live, there's gonna be some laughs coming in.
I bet I bet the reason we're not on TikTok is they've looked at it and went, well, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Good news is for you Patriot Hour followers, and Mike, if you're listening, I'm trying to credit you the way I hope you credit us. I'll be in the studio again, or for the first time in several months, Monday, somewhere between 9 and noon. You guys will get notifications. Hurt and I are going to work real hard at making sure that our word gets out. I hope that I can convince Mike and all the followers to do both shows. Again, most of you know that if in the beginning, some of you didn't believe us, but the more Mike and I kept doing and doing and doing, I'm telling you, I physically met Hurt because of the Patriot Hour and because of the types of works that I like to do and what Hurt is definitely up to. It's not that we want to be the first ones, regurgitating stuff, but we want to be right. And I think I'm going to tell Mike this, and this might be the Monday show at Patriot Hour. I want to give credit where credit's due, because we try to be honest. We didn't jump the gun too early. Maybe that's why people like following us. I'm not saying I'm a great investigative reporter, but one thing we're always going to do on this show is make sure we got our ducks in a row. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But again, Monday, I'll be on with Patriot Hour. If there's a chance that I can make Hurt be the third chime guest, we might be able to do that. I don't count on that. I don't know. I don't think Hurt's counting on that. But just a shout out to Patriot Hour.
Sounds good. Well, I think that's going to be good for tonight.
All right. Watch tonight, y'all. Watch the TV. Watch it tonight. Watch it tomorrow. you're going to hear more about the October 5th Catholic Church thing because the truth is coming out. But just be honest with one another. And like Hurt was trying to say, let's come together. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Love y'all.
Peace, love.
Peace out.